Goodbye, blue skies. Now it's white lines falling down, falling down. Jet planes exhale, silver strange trails all around, all around. So tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. TV tells lies, mainstream denies nothing's wrong. Same old song. People below cannot unknow inner days, fog and haze. So tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no, no, no. Goodbye, blue skies. Now it's white lines falling down, falling down. Jet planes exhale, silver strange trails all around, all around. So tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no, no, no. Tell me what they're spraying, 'cause they're not saying, no one knows.
Good evening. Yeah, welcome. That was Goodbye Blue Skies. You know what? I'd buy that record. That's probably one of the favorite songs that I've done. Me. Yeah, that was Devon Rocket. Anyway, hello, good evening. We've got a guest waiting backstage, Mr. Critchley from the Stellify Podcast. What the fuck's a podcast? Is that a police kind of interview show? I don't know. I just made it up. Yeah, he's backstage. We're going to be discussing his spiritual journey, conspiracy, all kinds of things. Yes, I did Devon Rocket. Good evening. The band is called Clownprince. I'll never shy away from publicity. I know I look shy. Good evening, Devon Rocket. Welcome to the channel. If you like the music of Clownprince, there's links below this video, I believe. If there's not, let me know. Dennis Bohemia, good evening. Are you well, sir? I'm okay. How are you? Creating My Reality loves the song. Dennis Carr, good evening. Are you well? We've got 21 people watching this shit. He's backstage. Ant Critchley's backstage now. I've used this joke twice. Ant Critchley is backstage enjoying virtual biscuits, virtual cocaine. No, it's not. It's all virtual. It was a joke. It was funnier when I said it the first time. No, it's just lost all fucking merit. But yeah, Ant's backstage. It's not really backstage, is it? It's like he's underneath. I'll shut the fuck up. I'm not making any sense. Kit Kats, click the links, click the like. Yeah, you can have that. Is the links below this video? Let me know. If not, I'll need to sort it out at some point. There should be links to everything. I need to also. I've not done it in time because I'm fucking useless. I needed to put a link to Ant's podcast on this, but we shall find out more. We're 26 people. 6 minutes of your life already. You won't get back. Let me have a drink. Are you ready for it? It's like a comment. This reminds me. Devon Rocket, where have you come from? Devon Rocket, I'm fascinated to know. Have you just stumbled across me over the YouTube? But yeah, this is the nearest I get to a comedy show now. It reminds me of that, when the acts are backstage and you're nervous, and I'm the compere, like, but I'm just a compere sat in a broken fucking chair from the range. Yeah, let's bring him on. It's Ant Critchley. Good evening, Mr. Critchley.
Jimmy, good to see you, mate.
Very good to see you. Last time I saw you in person was around circa 2012. Is that wrong?
No, that'll be right. That'll be the start of my wide awake madness. That around that time as well. Maybe it was you that did it. Maybe you started it.
Well, I did have my flat cap at the I can't even fucking speak. I'm so nervous. Ant used to work at Alra, the acting place, and he got me a gig teaching fucking kids how to. He got me a gig for 2 days teaching wanky students and pretentious students how to do comedy, and I just blagged it. I said, get on the fucking stage, tell jokes. What the fuck do you expect? That's comedy.
Did you get paid?
Yeah, we can't discuss money on this channel. I got paid in tea and biscuits, and that was enough for me. You know what I mean? But let me just say to Devon Rocket, welcome to the channel. It's nice to have new people on the channel, Devon Rocket. Welcome, enjoy the channel, but enjoy the music and enjoy fucking everything. Yeah, and so I was quite shocked. I don't know why. You get these random thoughts in your head that cast back to people who you've known years ago, and sometimes you'll get a thought, wonder what he's up to. Yeah. When I last saw you, you was a completely different person to the one you are now, and I looked at, and your fucking hair was down here. You had a beard, and I saw like things about COVID and like a lot of conspiratorial, which isn't a bad thing. A lot of spiritual stuff. I thought, well, fuck me, he's joined the club. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And so I was intrigued to find out what you're doing, your journey to get there, and this community you've got going. It seems very interesting, and I would like to get involved with it. So, do you want to tell us a bit about your road to? Is it called the Siddhartha Road? I don't know. I heard anyway. Your journey.
Before I do, Jimmy, I'm gonna say that song. It's fantastic. That song, Jimmy. I really enjoyed that.
God bless you.
And is it about contrails?
It's basically
it's about contrails, isn't it? Because that's all they do. It's contrails, isn't it?
The video. I apologize. Now, shout out to Chris D, who played guitar on that. I don't know. He doesn't normally watch me live, but Chris D, if you're watching, thank you for playing guitar on that song. And I think the guitar playing is fantastic. And our video isn't the best. It looks like somebody in year 9 has made a project. But you know what I mean? We don't have the resources. The video is 10 years old, roughly. So, you know what I mean? These days, kids with AI can make the most amazing videos. But this is old school. But thank you, Anta. I appreciate that. It's probably one of my favourites. I won't slow down, Dennis. I'm excited. I don't get out much. When I don't get to speak to people much, and when I do, yeah. So I kind of like that song. Without that might sound egotistical. Sometimes I've wrote songs, I don't fucking like them. I think that's shit, But I
like it, and you sound good on it.
Thank you very much. That came later on, like when I awoke, and your lyrical content gets a bit, things change as you progress through life. So, on that kind of matter, could you tell us about your progression from normal man about town kind of thing to like an enlightened being? For one
we met back in 2011, 2012. And around that time, I went through a divorce. Can you hear my St. Bernard snoring?
No,
it's all right then, because she's quite loud. She's right under my feet and she's snoring. So
can you hear the abducted children in the back room screaming? That's a joke. That's a joke. It isn't true. I can't help myself. Sorry, don't just.
So yeah, I was going through a messy divorce at the time. Around that period when I was at Alra, and I moved out the marital home, if you like, and me and my daughter moved to a terraced house in Standish, and I was struggling financially, like really desperately struggling, and quite depressed, and as you are, so I was going through this trauma, if you like. Anyway, a friend of mine, who was a psychic medium, he said to me, Ant, you need to ask your angels for help. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? That's like the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. And he said, no, he said, seriously. So when your daughter's in bed tonight, say it out loud and ask for help. So like a dickhead, my daughter went to bed and I just stood in the living room and said something, asked for help, and I was like, yeah, that was a bit ridiculous, wasn't it? Went to bed, didn't think anything of it. Next day, driving to my parents' house with my daughter, and on the dashboard there was 111111 on the clock, and on the center console it was 1111. But I thought there's something wrong with my car, so I pulled over, turned the engine off, turned it all back on, and the ones are still there. I thought, whatever, carried on, drove to my mum and dad's house, went into the house, sat down, got my phone. I'm like that on Facebook, as you do. I'm scrolling through, and this thing pops up, and it says, if you see 111, your angels are listening. And I went, what the fuck was that? So all the hairs were stood up at that point. So that's so weird. That's really weird.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing 1111 like all the time. So I did some research. I thought, I need to look into this. What does it mean? And I come across a video on YouTube it was a guy called Rick Clay, R-I-K Clay. And he'd done an interview with Red Ice. I can't remember what they're a European conspiratorial kind of radio station, if you like. And they'd interviewed Rick Clay, who had a blog for many years. He's a young fella from Bradford, but he was like wide awake. And it's a 3-hour video, and it took me down a path that I'd never recognized. He was going on about the Olympic site and the fact that they built these structures on certain energy lines, and they'd named roads because of certain things, and blah blah blah. And it was all new to me. I was like, what the fuck's all this about? And then from there, I just started to come across more information constantly, loose change being one, about the twin towers. And it was like, that was a big awakening for me then. It was like, what kind of world are we actually living in here? And I remember going to my mum and dad's and saying, look, this 9/11 wasn't what we think it is. Oh, Anthony, why would they do that to us? That was what I was getting back. Why would they do that to us? So I was going to my friends, really, Jimmy. I was going a bit nutty, really. I was going down the rabbit holes, Mandela effect and this, that, and the other. And I just recognize that this world isn't anything like what I perceived for the majority of my life up to that point. So
it's kind of like a sucker punch. When you were walk's the wrong term, that's something else. But when you become awakened, that's, I'm not sure about that term anymore, but it's like a sucker punch. It's like in the old cartoons where you'd be walking near a cliff path and somebody would drop an anvil on your head. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it is that, and it does not send you reeling for a bit, doesn't it? When all the information just falls on you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it, and you feel a bit alone actually as well, because you don't really have a lot of people to talk to. But I was lucky enough not too long after that to meet my missus, who I'm still with thankfully today. She's wonderful, and we kind of went down the rabbit holes together, if you like. Again, interestingly, at that period, me and my daughter had just decided, well, I decided, she was only young, we were moving to Croston, which is a little village near Leyland, and I was just going to be renting a house that was big enough for me and my daughter. But I'd met my missus at that point, around that time. So she was visiting. We just moved into Croston, and she was visiting, and I was cleaning the kitchen. I think we'd lived there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, so the kitchen hadn't not been cleaned before. But I was cleaning the kitchen, and I found this piece of paper on the floor, and it said, "Don't forget to breathe." I've still got it upstairs. Actually, I should have brought it down. And I'll go around the house to my daughter and to Lou and Lou's son, and where did this come from? No idea. Nobody knew where it come from. And within weeks, Jimmy, my missus fell very, very poorly. So it was like a sign, that we got tested. I mean, tested thoroughly for years and years, but it took us down the big pharma thing, really, because we recognized, unfortunately or fortunately, because thanks to the journey we were on, come 2020, we were already like so distrusting of pharma that we weren't playing that game. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, my missus nearly died twice because of the medications that they were just prescribing, because you just trust these people, you know what I mean, that they're doing the right thing for your sake. But maybe we just needed that journey to land us to the point of 2020 when we'd signed for a pub in Croston called the Crown / Corona, and we were there to kind of open the doors for people that were aware, awake, whatever you want to call it, at that period of time, and had nowhere to go, because being on that journey is a lonely path, and we just kept the doors open. We didn't play by the silly rules that they were, gonna all this fucking walking from a table to a toilet kind of thing with a mask on and all that shit. Just not happening in my pub, Jimmy. That was the thing. It weren't happening. So
did you find, as they say, your vibe attracted your tribe then, from when your frequency changed and your mindset changed? Did you find a lot of people coming into your life who was like of the similar man you knew to your new mindset? A lot of people.
Definitely at that period of time. Definitely that period, because the people were looking for somewhere to go. So we became a hub, not just in Northwest either. We had people coming all over the country, in Scotland as well. And it was an important part of our journey. My missus was very poorly still at that time. She's disabled. So there was a point where, because she was quite frightened, I'll be honest, Jimmy, because we knew what they were doing, and she was quite frightened of how far they were going to push this at that time. And I said to her, we sat up one night in bed after I'd shut the pub and said, look, I'm not doing this. We're not playing these rules, but this is a problem, because it's going to cause us to lose everything. We're going to lose the pub, we'll lose our home. And that's what happened. We did. We lost absolutely everything. But we gained so much from doing that also. I don't have a single regret, that we did what we needed to do, and we'd have Truth or Tuesday nights, Jimmy, every Tuesday, and we'd have Wake Up Wednesdays on a Wednesday, and
Right.
you know, we had you know, you could fill the pub on a Tuesday. You'd never see a pub so filled, but the village hated it. They couldn't stand it. You know, there were cars coming from because nobody from the village was going into the pub because they disowned me because I was a super spreader. We had cars coming all down Station Road, and it's a difficult place to park as it is. And we had people living in the back as well. You know, we give people a home for that period. It was insane, really. But a fantastic time also.
It sounds an amazing place, that, you know, but I believe you still have a bit of a community kind of thing from that, and you do regular meetups. Am I right in thinking that?
Well, we did for a little bit. I had a breakdown after the pub went down the Swanee, to be honest with you, because we lost our home, like I say, and we many thousands of pounds in debt from that situation. So that caused me a major exhaustion and a major sort of breakdown, if you like, at that time. So we kept in touch, and some guys started to take on what I started, if you like. They continued those gatherings, and that continued through the COVID period. And when COVID ended, everything just sort of calmed itself down. Now the stand in the parks still do go, but only a few people will attend. So we had a recent reunion, Crown reunion, if you like, at December at Charnock Richard, and there was a good 90 odd people that showed up, you know, and it was a nice turnout. But when I spoke to people on the night, they really wanted to do that regularly again, you know. So it might be a case where we do start that up again, you know. Every few months we find a pub in localish and just meet up and maybe have a Christmas do or something, and kind of do it that way potentially. So you must come.
I was going to say I would love to come along to that, you know, kind of gathering. I'm just drawn towards it, you know. So once again, whatever you're drawn to, you just follow your instincts. Yeah. We had a brief chat the other week, and I want you to tell me the story, because I think it's a great story about when the clot shots were kind of most mandatory, and your daughter was on the verge of getting jabbed. Yeah. Could you tell me that story? Because I think it's a great story.
Yeah, of course.
The tale. Oh, you know what I mean? Fucking.
Yeah, of course. So it was, like you say, there was a lot of pressure coming on at that period. It was sort of towards the end of 21. And my daughter was going to Disney World with her mum. And her mum is very different to me, you know. And she basically said to my daughter, look, I've not spent 10 grand on a holiday for you to stay at home, so you're having the jab, basically. And my daughter wasn't happy about it. She was upset. She cried, kind of thing, in the pub with me that night, and said, look, Dad, how long is it going to be? And I said, I can't tell you. You know, I don't know how long this is going to be, but you know my feelings on it. She said, look, I don't want it, but I'm going to have it because I want to go on holiday with my mum. So this is part of where I had my breakdown as well. It weren't just losing the pub that was causing it. I started declining because I thought if I couldn't save my daughter from a potential harm, went out all the fighting I'd been doing over that period, then what use am I? And that's where my mindset went, Jimmy. You know, I started deteriorating. I started grieving, really. Yeah. But one of the thoughts that I had leading up to that, because I knew the pub was going to shut, was I was going to be I trained to be a counsellor. I thought, right, because I was always counselling folk anyway in the pub. You do as a landlord. You're there till 2-3 in the morning, helping people most of the time. So I thought I'll try and learn how to do this properly, and I can support people when I've finished this pub situation. That I'll have something to walk into, hopefully. So I did that, trained out to be a counsellor, but then I thought, you know what, I'm quite into, because I'm very spiritual. Obviously, I've had quite a few experiences, and I thought I want to learn how to do reiki. So I went to have some attunement, and it was the weekend after my daughter decided she was going to have the jab, and I was having this attunement, and I was in meditation, but I was doing Reiki on someone at the time, and I had this vision come into my mind's eye while I had my eyes closed. And in my mind's eye, I could see this huge being, and it was this being had like a suit of armor on. In fact, his shins were the size of a house. That's how big he was. And I saw it play out like a cartoon in my mind's eye. And he put his hand into this house, and he covered my daughter while she was asleep in bed. So I explained what I'd seen to the group that were there. My missus was there having an attunement as well. And my missus said, look, you need to trust that. And she's going to be okay. You know, she's going to be protected. And I was like, well, I can't believe it. It could be anything. That I could have made that up, you know. I mean, it could have been anything. So anyway, a few days later, the jab bus was going to my daughter's school. And I didn't sleep the night before. She was at her mum's that night. I didn't sleep a wink, and I got up that morning anyway to clean the pub as you do, get the day ready. And my phone rang about, I think it was 8:30 in the morning. It was my daughter, and I was like, well, "How come you're not in school?" And she said, "Well, I vomited." And I was like, "Thank fuck for that." You know, she couldn't go in. And then a week later, they changed the rules in America for under 18s. So she didn't need to get it. So it was like a divine moment, really. So she ended up going to Disney World that Christmas, and she hasn't had it at all. So it's a wonderful thing, really.
It's brilliant. What is an attunement? Is it quite hard to do Reiki? Because I should imagine I struggle to kind of concentrate. I should imagine, is it kind of a hard thing to do, Reiki?
Well, I've certainly not found it hard. I'll be honest, Jimmy. I found it really easy myself. I mean, I don't know if anyone else who's tried Reiki has found it hard, but for me, I just let myself go, and I'm a conduit to whatever energy is coming through, and I can feel it coming through. And sometimes my hands go red raw, like with heat. You know,
really?
So it's coming. Yeah, it's happened on a few occasions where they're just burning hot, my hands. And I've had clients saying that if I'm over the top of them, they can feel the heat coming from my hands. You know, it's coming right through. And I've had some interesting sort of experiences when I've been doing Reiki as well in my mind's eye. You know, I had a client. I was at a festival, van life festival, and I was doing Reiki in the van. And this guy told me, he said he'd had a car accident. He said, "Can I fix his leg?" He'd had a car accident when he was younger. "Can I fix his leg?" I said, "Well, I can't fix your leg." So, but I'll happily do Reiki. So I won't charge you. You know, we'll just do it and see if it helps you. And great if it does. Anyway, I'm doing the Reiki, and I'm over his shin. And in my mind's eye, you remember the Operation game?
Yeah.
So this Operation game pops up in my mind's eye, and it's like the red light's flashing on his nose. His nose going in my mind's eye, and it's over his shin bone. I'm like, listen, this is what I can see, and I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means anything to you. So, but this is what I can see. And he said, "Can I take my trousers off and show you?" I was like, and he pulled his trousers down. He had a big scar all the way down his shin bone. I was like, whoa, well, I couldn't have possibly have known, you know. So what does that mean? I don't know.
It's mad, isn't it?
Mm.
So tell me about how long have you been doing the Stellify podcast? How did it come about? You know, have you met a lot of interesting characters on that journey?
Well, I started podcasting initially with, funnily enough, the guy who was a psychic medium that told me to ask my angels for help all those years ago, and we set up a channel called Drake, Michigan, back at the time, and I interviewed loads of people. You know, unfortunately, you know, things didn't work out, but in fact, I interviewed a pilot who I had to keep his identity undercover, who was telling me all about the contrails.
All right, an actual person who sprays them.
Yeah, well, he was saying that pilots know that they're doing it. Yeah, you know, he was basically spilling the beans, shall we say? He was spilling the beans, and it's on Rumble that because it couldn't go on YouTube at the time, so that's on Rumble somewhere, and it did quite well.
Did it get? Have you had stuff removed off YouTube?
Oh yeah. I've not on Stellify. I've been very lucky with Stellify so far, and considering I've had some guests on there that have we've talked about the jibby jabs and things like that, and we've not held back on certain things, but for whatever reason at this moment in time I've done okay, and I do touch on some subjects. I create some videos that that's gone on about the Rockefellers and this, that and the other, and Big Pharma and Steiner's prophecy of the vaccine and various other things. They're all on there, and it's doing all right. The channel's been doing all right. Drake, Michigan, we've spent a year on it. I must have done 500 videos, and we think at that period of time before we parted ways, I think we'd just got over 1,000 subscribers, but I've got 5.5 or nearly 6,000 subscribers on Stelify. I started that last March, so it's coming up nearly a year now. But I really love doing it, Jimmy. I just do it for myself, really, just to enjoy it, and I enjoy talking to people. And I've had some great guests, and I've got some fantastic guests lined up for March and April already. A couple of brilliant guests.
Really, one second. Let's just see. Bongo Bud Corner, a grand rising I can't even fucking read. A grand rising to all from the shore of Lake Ontario in Oswego, New York.
Lovely.
Good evening. We have transcended. We've gone further than Aspel. We have people watching in New York, but good evening, Bongo Bud. So what have you got lined up for the show?
I've got Howdy Mikowski lined up in March, mid-March. I've got he's a very, very popular on YouTube. He's been delving into reality. So a lot of my channel's about reality and the reality we find ourselves in, and he's deep dives that he's been deep diving that since the 80s, I think. So okay. he's well known, and he's been interviewed by some big ones. So, and I've got a guy called Logan in April who's got a channel called Decode Your Reality, and he's a big hitter as well on YouTube. So I'm excited for those. And I've had some great conversations recently, and a lot of it is about what is this place that we find ourselves in, really, because it's very dark in a lot of aspects, but it's very wonderful in a lot of ways as well. But there's a lot of talk about soul traps and reincarnation loops and this, that, and the other, and there are a lot of the conversations I'd kind of deep dive into, really. It started off as a bit of a COVID kind of thing. I've interviewed Dr. Tek Kong. That was my first one. Okay. And he's a great guy. And then Abby Roberts, the comedian who lost her job off GB News because she couldn't keep her mouth shut, and she's wonderful. Love her to bits. Become very friendly with a lot of these people over this period, So Jackie Devoy, another one who's a journalist. She was a mainstream journalist and couldn't get anything out at all. Obviously, they were shutting her down all the time during that period, and she's done some wonderful documentaries on. Saying wonderful, they're wonderfully put together, but they're very dark, in terms of how the NHS deals with people in a not so nice way, shall we say? So there's a few of those things. So they're worth watching, really.
It's interesting. How do you see things playing out? Because as it stands now, I don't know what's happening in America with Trump, but over here it seems pretty kind of grim. And if you was brave enough to put Twitter on, as it used to be called, it's a fucking wash with all kinds of shit, and you think, fucking hell. And how do you see it all playing out? Have you any thoughts on how it's? Is it going to get any better, or is it going to get any worse? Is it 50-50? What's your thoughts on it?
I think we've got to make it better for ourselves somehow. We've got to look after ourselves as much as we can and come together, and we've got to avoid. I always said at the beginning of this, you've got to avoid the juggernaut that's coming, and it is coming. The 2020 shit show was just a teaser, really, I think, and the AI technocratic digital kind of prison that they have planned for the transhumanism world is the pushing this through. And that I do, you know, people have their own opinions and everyone needs to have their own opinions, but my opinion is the Trump Musk thing is just part of that plan. It's just the next step, and we just got to find our way around it. You know, for me, the way this transhumanism thing is, it's pushing people further away from source and nature, and children that are growing up in this tech world are just going to be indulged in tech, and we've got to try and bring people back to what it's like being human. You know, when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was just a bit more human, weren't it? I know that we were still in a shit show because the politics hasn't always been that way, you know, but this tech stuff could be, it's either going to be great if it's in the right hands, or it's going to be a fucking nightmare. It
was kind of so much less evident then. I mean, I'll always say this. I mean, the old world died around March 2020, and then ever since then, like you said, it has been fast tracked, not only on a technological level, but on a spiritual level. Something very dark has happened, because you look around cities now, they're all full of, it's created more drug addicts and alcoholics, and it's created more, there's more violence, everyone's more angry. Yeah. And they've worked a number on quite a few levels, but I do believe that the top people who run this planet are occultists, and I believe they're very adept in the arts of the occult. Psychologically, they know us inside it better than we know ourselves, and subsequently they can play us like a symphony, you know. And I actually believe. But it's such a sad thing that to look back to 2000, even as not so far back as 2019, is like looking back 5 centuries of, you know, how different than when we were growing up. I know it's a fucking a middle-aged thing when we were growing up, but really, when we were growing up, kids today don't play in old houses or fucking do anything like that. You know, there's nothing, but everything's an app on a phone. You know what I mean? Have you been? No, I don't want to go in nature now. There's an app here with the green fields on, you know, and that's how it is now. And even parents are not talking to the children. They give them a tablet, stick them on the rug, and they go on their phones, and you know, and we're all guilty of it. We're all locked into this. Like you talk about the Hotel California. You know, we'll get on to that. I found that's a very interesting topic. You can check out any time you want, but you can never leave. And we are all kind of prisoners of our own devices, not device. You know what I mean, kind of thing. And that's it. You know, they know we work with dopamine, so they've created these kind of machines that give us dopamine rewards, so we could. Oh, he's liked my picture. They've not liked my picture. I've got anxiety, and you know, it's I don't know, but we have definitely lost touch with source. You know, I don't spend half as much time in nature as I once did. Yeah. You know, and it's we all have to really address things, I think.
I think you're right. And I think it's getting kids out there to do the same. You know, so when we lost everything, we ended up on a council estate, and I must admit, we see more kids playing out than I saw in the private estates that we lived in over the past 10 years, which is nice to see. You know, kids around here, they do play out. They've got the swings tied to the trees, you know, the ropes, the rope swings and stuff, you know, which is lovely to see, you know. But private estates, you know, I didn't see much of that really. The odd kids going to the park or whatever, but it's the more attached to the devices. It is addictive though, isn't it? You know, I mean, I'm addicted to my phone. I'll be the first to admit it. I am, you know, I'm a tech guy. You know, when we met, you know, I was doing websites then and videos then, and I'm still doing it. You know, I'm still staring at screens as we're doing now, you know, but
Yeah.
I do try, you know, I walk the dogs often, you know, 2 or 3 times a day just to get out, get near the trees, listen to the birds sing, you know, have that moment of peace and clarity. You know, it's a difficult, it's a trap in itself, really. It's a trap in itself.
So, have you stumbled across, and I'm sure you have, the CIA gateway file?
I've not seen. No, I don't think I've seen that one. No.
The CIA did this study in the 50s. Now, I can't quote it verbatim. I'm somebody who knows bits of things, so I don't want to. And it was basically they did a complete study on manifestation and creating your own reality. Now, I don't want to go into it, but they actually proved that you can create your own. They went into the quantum aspects of it.
Yeah.
They actually proved that it's called the CIA gateway. It might be a future video for you if you know what I mean.
I'll look at it. Yeah.
And but there's a file called the CIA. Anybody in chat, I don't know who knows about it. It's the CIA gateway files, and they did an in-depth study about basically mind control and manifestation and creating your own reality. And what's your thoughts on manifestation? And have you ever used manifestation knowingly?
I firmly believe that. I mean, at this St. Bernard we've got here, this rescue, you know, we rescued us 3 days ago, and me and my missus talked about wanting a giant plodding dog like a Newfoundland or a St. Bernard for the past 2 years, but we couldn't afford it, you know. But all of a sudden she sat here with me, you know. So we are creating, but we're creating bad stuff as well, you know. There's clearly something about it, and I think there's whatever realm we're in, it shows, doesn't it? If you can manifest something into your life, then what is this reality that we're in? That's the thing, yeah. You know, because it's not just a 3D world that we're in. You're talking quantum mechanics, like you say. So we're more powerful than they want you to know. So these guys who are running the show, the clown world that we're in, like you say, they're in the occult. They know they can manifest. They know they can get us to manifest for them as well. So if they can put everybody in fear, we will manifest it for them.
There's a thing in there because it's collective manifestation. We could cite examples of this. There's going to be a petrol shortage, boom, and everybody goes out. Some old fucker who uses his car once a year will go and then put £200 worth of fuel in. You know what I mean? And all these people who never use the car, oh my God, we're the Mad Max scenario. Then there is no fuel because, and this is just one example. And I think with conspiracy theories as well, you have to be careful that the actual people who are trying to spread the news about them are actually doing the flip reverse of kind of quantum, collectively manifesting it. Have you heard about this? Oh, what? Boom. You know what I mean? And all points of attention are on this thing, whatever it is. And it's like, you know, so in a way, they're actually geniuses. You know, they're kind of evil geniuses, kind of like a super. It's like super Bond villains, in it, kind of thing. You know, with more kind of occult kind of.
But they know, don't they, Jimmy? They know that we're fallible human beings and we're emotional beings. They're playing our emotions. They put us in fear, and they'll have us all creating the worst scenarios for them. If you know, that's why they keep us in fear and keep us distracted and keep us divided. Because if I firmly believe if we truly knew or remembered who we really are, then we would be extremely powerful in that respect. You know, we could create our reality perfectly well, but we don't know ourselves truly, and we're full of fear, and we're our own worst enemies because our brain never switches off, and we're always bringing negative thoughts in all the time. And I think there's all sorts going on to influence that, which keeps this world, this realm that we're in a negative way. But I firmly believe we can change everything for the better.
we're kind of like the lost children of the universe, really, because in the sense of, like you said, we don't know who we are. We don't know where it's like orphans. It's like if you never ever find out truly who your parents are, you know, you're always going to have that wonder and kind of, you know, who am I? Who really am I? And as a species, we have that. You know, I mean, I talk about to people. I believe in the Anunnaki theory that, you know, basically we was visited by an alien race who saw us as an opportunity to we can get these, we can engineer them, you know, they may have dumbed us down, or they may have made us slightly more intelligent than they were if we were like an ape form being. But there's proof that our DNA has been tampered with, because there's linear strands of DNA, but there's bits switched off, you know. And I do believe we was once multi-dimensional beings. I just think we've been like kind of made to this kind of worker, which we still are. If people could be in denial or shocked, but we still are a slave race. You know,
to keep us in our five senses, Jimmy, don't they? That's the thing. If you can keep you trapped in your five senses, we can only see so much of the frequency that we're in. There's only so much we can see. You know, it's hard to trust your senses. When I was having those visions, and I thought I was just going mad. You know what I mean? And people would still think I'm mad, you know, or doing drugs or something. And I don't even drink. So, you know, but I made like saying that I've had these experiences, and I still do have, you know, visions and things like that when I'm in meditation or I'm doing Reiki. And I'm fascinated by it, and that's why I do the channel as well, because I'm interested on why I have these experiences. I'm interested why others have these experiences. What is this reality we're in, and can we do something about it? You know, and I'm sure we can.
Absolutely. Am I right in thinking you're going to be starting your own business, offering services like for people of guidance? Will it be? I believe there's more than Reiki on offer. Am I right in thinking that? Do you want to give a bit of a plug to what's coming up?
Yeah, well, I launched Becoming Stellify last month. We're very lucky. We've got a little boat on Rufford. It's only a 22-foot thing, but it holds, you know, you could sleep 3 on it. It's got a little kitchen and this, that, and the other. But I'm going to use that as a healing space, because Rufford Marine is such a peaceful, beautiful space anyway. It's ideal for not just doing Reiki, but counseling, spiritual guidance that I'm going to offer, plus hypnosis. So I do past life regression, and hypnosis transformation, hypnosis therapy as well. And these are like 5-hour sessions, these hypnosis sessions. So it's an ideal spot for it. And I just know that I'm here to help people where I can, Jimmy, but I'm also helping myself in that way as well, because I'm learning more about where we're at. And to be honest, the Reiki, when I do Reiki as well, Jimmy, I feel it coming through. So I'm getting a healing while I'm doing it. So I just love doing it. If I could make a career doing that, I'd be wonderful. I'd be flying.
Well, if we can promote you in any way we can, if you give me a link to Becoming Stellify and stuff, I'll put it beneath this video. I'll put the Stelify podcast as well beneath the video as well, and you know what I mean. So, but I just want to, and I want to come to one of your meetings when you start one of these meetings, that kind of thing. I want to come, kind of thing, you know.
You have to. It'd be great to see you again. It's been a long time.
No, absolutely. I did they do an XXXL size caftan? You know what I mean, kind of thing. My scarf has trouble fitting me these days. But you know, I normally just do about an hour on these things, but it's been great to speak to you, mate. But before we wrap it up, what's your thoughts on the Hotel California, the song? I think you think there's an element of Satanism around it? Oh,
I kind of looked at it, so I did a video on it, and I just thought my feelings were that it's talking about the soul trap, if you like, the reincarnation loop. You know, when if you listen to the video that I put out there, did you watch it? Yeah. So it goes into the fact that we are distracted by material wealth and everything else, but we're kind of in that trap, and you can't leave it. But it's a spiritual war we're in, to go back home, whatever home is, but it ain't here.
No.
You know, I'm quite Gnostic at the moment, Jimmy. I've gone down quite a Gnostic path these past couple of years, and I might be wrong, but I do feel that we're potentially special, you know, divine sparks. You know, when we're born, we don't know where we've come from, do we? We're just born into this 3D body kind of thing, and then we're born into, then it becomes trauma from the off. You know, you're potentially taken away from your mother and slapped on the ass, or you know, then you might be injected by God knows how many things, and then you're thrown into indoctrination camp at 4-year-olds, and you're program till to go to work, basically to be a slave, you know. So, but we're not that, are we? That's the thing. We are not that. I'm not Aunt Critchley. It's just a story, and that we're much more than that.
It's kind of like, I've spoken about this before, and like you said, you're born as a blank canvas, and then you're indoctrinated. Your parents put their traumas, their fears, their experiences onto you. The school teachers do, you know, people around you do, and so by the time you are older, you're not. Who are you viewing the world as? Your authentic self. What happened to that? You know, your viewpoints have been shaped by, you know, if your parents hated tomatoes, there's a good chance that you won't like them. You know, and I'm not stupid, but you know what I mean. My parents hated Cliff Richard. I've said this before, and it's funny, but I've grown up with like kind of, I'm not saying I hate him, but I'm not. I just, you know what I mean. You have that kind of thing,
absolutely,
and everything. So we're not viewing. We're all viewing the world through like this smoke. You know, and we none of us can really see. We're all projecting. Constantly we're projecting, and you're projecting. Some people you'll project greatness onto, and some people you'll just transfer, you'll hate them for nothing or whatever. And so you're up against this kind of thing. So in that sense, it is illusionary. You know what I mean, kind of thing. It is a hologram if you view it. If you view the world, I suppose I was thinking about this the other day. Some people say the world is a hologram, you know, or a computer program. But if you're viewing the world as an actual projection, you actually are viewing it, and you're viewing your own movie of the you're viewing your own version of this trip. You know what I mean?
That's right, and that's quantum mechanics in itself, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, nothing. You know, if you believe in quantum mechanics, nothing is solid. Everything's vibrating. There's nothing actually really solid. So we are just literally, like you say, we are projecting through our eyes. You know, what looks like an apple to me, I can't prove that anybody else can see it the way I see an apple.
No.
You know, that's my projection. That's the way I see things. But this is my movie. You know, you've got your movie. You know, but we are co-creators as well. So how do we co-create and do wonderful things? Because I truly believe in the magic of this place as well. And the fuckers who run this place, or they know it. They know it. They use it. They use dark magic.
100%. I mean, they want to remove all the magic from it, and slowly over time, it is becoming more dark. And I mean, Madonna was kind of racy when we were growing up, but Madonna now is like, it pales into insignificance when you've got Nicki Minaj and Doja Cat with the how kind of like vile the lyrics are, and they're basically like porn stars. And kids are watching this, and films are very dark, and even mainstream television's dark with swearing on it. And I'm not saying like Mary Whitehouse or some kind of like Puritan, but a lot of the stuff, and it's, once again, it's programming. I mean, one of the best things you can do is to not throw your television in the garden, But I wouldn't watch any terrestrial programs. You know, I just watch films, and most films are rubbish. I like documentaries, but whenever I go to someone's house and they've got the news on, it just makes me feel physically sick because you're just watching this bullshit. And you know, I mean, they'll only show you what they want you to see. I mean, they didn't cover the farmers, did they, in London, blocking the streets of London with thousands of farmers kicking off right. So Germany, there's so much trouble. Dennis Carr lives in Germany. There was a big, massive protest in Germany, wasn't there? You know what I mean? There's a big. There is. The thing is that everything is fucking kicking off, isn't it? Everything is ramping up now. You know, I mean.
Yeah, it's going to do, and I think that if you. The one thing to look, one positive way of looking at it though is that, you know, to create something great, you sometimes have got to get rid of the shit. So a lot of we're seeing a lot of madness because maybe they're just trying everything right now because they know it's going to be game over. Maybe, you know, that people are waking up, if you like, and starting to remember who they truly are. You know, I'm not saying it's going to happen in our lifetime, but things are changing, and they are ramping stuff. I mean, look at the way 2020 hit, Jimmy. You know, they did that fast. That was really quick, but it woke a lot of people up. Because people started to look at things going, well, this isn't quite right. You know, I was having people coming at my pub who were in the 60s and 70s, been asleep all their life. And all of a sudden, they're seeing the world differently. You know, so it was waking people up. So
didn't they reckon on a spiritual level, the frequency of the planet has changed? And that the age of Aquarius, I believe, and that has caused a lot of people to kind of an energetic shift, if you will.
Yeah, I believe.
Said it's boiling point in Germany. He's over in Germany. And let me just ask another question, sir. Do you think we have been desensitized over the years? 100%, I think we have. But where do you think it'll all get to? That's what we're just discussing now, Devon. Has anybody any questions for Mr. Ant Critchley on this subject? Not like, you know, where can you get a cheap tin of beans from? Where's the best?
You can't get cheap tin of beans anymore, can you? You can't get cheap fucking anything anymore.
No, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend you, John, but Anne's beans are not what the fucking once was. I mean, I'm a Cross and Blackwell fucking man now. But anyway, it's one of them. It's a very strange time, but it's the age of Kali Yuga apparently. But the good news is it's only 400,000 years to go. Just hang tight, everybody. Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, as the Hindus said, 400,000 years. Only a few.
We're right. The golden age is coming. Then the golden age is coming.
It is absolutely. There's a link to Ant's podcast. Hang on, sorry, Ant. How do you keep grounded when you know so much about the darkness of humanity and government? Seems like a lot to hold on to.
Quite good question, that, Devon. So, I mean, obviously, when I had my breakdown, I had to work hard on myself. So long story short, I started doing a lot of inner work, if you like, and dealing with my shadows and bringing forgiveness and bringing awareness to other people. You know, like, for example, bringing forgiveness and love to my ex-wife that caused me so much pain at the time was a tough place to go. And if I could do that, I can almost do the same for politicians to a point. But it's kind of just recognizing that everyone is programmed heavily. But I've got to just, I still get anxious and stressed as anyone else does. So for me, simple things will be going into nature whenever I can. We need to get out in nature more. The Reiki helps me. Meditation helps me. Drinking good water, not out of the tap, helps me. You know, fasting helps me. There's various different tools. EFT, emotional freedom technique. You know, the tapping. That's great.
A lot of people have been talking about this now. Is it a new thing? Is it a relatively new thing?
No, it's been a while, but it really helps. It really helps because our bodies store negative energy, and it has to go somewhere. So like acupuncture, there are pressure points, and they're called meridians. So
yeah.
you've got points here on the top of your head. Here's a quick technique for you. Points here, points here, points here, points here, there, here, underneath here, and on a karate chop. And honestly, even now, just doing that, I can feel energy coming.
Is there a way? Is there a certain number of times you do it, or is it?
I've just put a video out on my Becoming Stellify video channel. I've only just launched that, but it literally, you can say a mantra. You can be saying, "I'm anxious right now," but you start bringing forgiveness, and I used to do it for about 10 minutes. I used to do this.
While we're talking, I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find you. Hopefully, find your channel and share this link, kind of thing. So anybody can kind of do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I used to do it on my own because I felt like a complete Burke. But it's really quick, simple way of just releasing a lot of tension. Yoga's another thing. People mock yoga, but I mean, I don't do it so much. But again, it's just about getting the energy out of your system. But fasting's really good. Fasting's, intermittent fasting at least. We eat shit. And the food that's in the stores is shit. We don't know what we're eating at the best of times. Our cells need to regenerate. We don't give them a chance. So by fasting, it gives your body a chance to regenerate as well. So there's loads of things.
Sorry, it cleans you out, doesn't it? And the fact that your body eats all. If you fast for a prolonged period, a couple of days or whatever, your body starts eating the shit exactly. You can't get hold of anything else. And
right. Our body's incredible.
I was big. I've done quite a bit of fasting, but I struggle with eating. I struggle with eating shit. You know what I mean?
I do as well, Jimmy. I love food.
I really do. I'm
addicted to it. I'm addicted to food.
Absolutely. I mean, I am the same way. I was having therapy recently, and during the therapy, it became quite traumatic. And I said to her, "I feel so hungry," and she said, "Well, that is it's a response. You know what I mean? When you get stressed or whatever, you become hungry, and it's kind of. I just thought I was a greedy bastard."
Well, actually, you know what, Jimmy? There's another thing to even dive into, and that's parasites. The parasites are what.
Have you ever done a turpentine cleanse?
No, but I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about
the protocols a few years ago. Now, it's not. Disclaimer, everybody: don't go to fucking Wallpaper Supplies buying turpentine.
Wallpaper Supplies.
Don't go to B&Q buying turpentine off the shelf. It's a spirit gum turpentine. It's out of a pine tree, and you have a teaspoonful with what is it? Castor oil. I think you have a teaspoon of this turpentine gum, and then you have it with castor oil. 1 hour later, you take activated charcoal, and apparently the castor oil draws in the parasites, and then the turpentine gum kills them. But so they're not like hanging around in your system. The activated charcoal sucks it all out. And that's one. I've tried kind of a few of DM. Have you ever heard of DMSO?
Yeah, I've got a bottle here, but I've never used it.
I've drank it. It's a fucking funny taste. I've done all this mad shit, and the stuff when they all got onto Trump about drinking bleach. It was the MMS, the peroxide. And it wasn't actually, once again, domestos, where everybody thought. There's stuff called MMS, and it's miracle mineral solution, and it's a mild peroxide bleach. And I've drunk that, and that's meant to help with arthritis, with cancer. There's all the, yourself, there's all this stuff available, colloidal silver. There's all these things that you could buy, or sometimes you can't buy anymore because the cheap, they can't patent them, so they want you to buy the big pharma alternative, which doesn't cure you, gives you more side effects, so you can fucking buy more pills, and that's what they want. That's why weeds weed's still frowned upon. My dad was dying of cancer. My dad passed away with cancer. I used to go to Christie's with him, and every doctor I'd ask about cannabis oil, and most of them I don't know. And it's like, because most of these people, these doctors, are parrots. You know what I mean? The good doctors, what Luke research and offer alternatives, they don't last. They're told one or two things, like shut up, read the book, or just go.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So everybody's reading from the Rockefeller kind of blueprint.
That's it. The allopathy, because it's money, in it. It's just greed, in it. You know, it's huge money. I mean, cannabis is what saved my missus's life, Jimmy. You know, I've got my best friend back. You know, we've been together 11 years, and for 8 years she was in bed in a wheelchair. She's not in a wheelchair anymore, and cannabis has changed that. She's off fentanyl. She was on fentanyl for 8 years.
Fucking hell.
You know, so she was on all sorts, enough to drop a rhino, and she's only 6.5 stone. You know, and like I said, she nearly died twice because of big pharma, and now she gets cannabis legally. You know, so she actually has a prescription now because it's been wonderful for her.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't get is that our food should be our medicine primarily. Nature has offered us cures for basically everything in food. I mean, you probably heard of Dr. Sebi, anybody who hasn't heard of him, he's a doctor who proved in court that you can cure cancer and AIDS with food. And I don't think he lasted, and he won the case. He didn't last much. Like once again, probably like Rick Clay. I was going to mention Rick Clay. He got bumped off. You reckon? He was a young lad, and but food. You look around if you want something to eat. You've got Subway, you've got Burger King, you've got McDonald's, you've got all these places selling you basically plastic, sugar, chemicals out, and it would taste very good. You know what I mean? There's no goodness in the food. You know, in part of the war on consciousness, the water's got contaminants in it. The food has. You've got chemtrails. You know what I mean? You've got EMF waves. You know, you name it. You know, everything about you is being bombarded. Even what you look at on a phone. All you can. There's a war of consciousness in there. 100%. You know, but
they're trying to stop us remembering who we are.
And they're making it where a lot of people don't know what fucking day it is now. You know what I mean? And you look at TikTok now, and the average people, the mentality of what is on there, and it's just fucking. We're a species in devolution. We're hurtling backwards instead of forwards, and you know.
But what they'll do is they'll offer the solution, won't they? They'll offer the solution, and that's your neural link in it, or your next jab with some ridiculous technology in it that'll, you know, and they'll offer you're in a simulation. So let's say we're in a simulation, they'll offer you another simulation. So you simulation within a simulation. So you can just, there's no jobs anymore. So here's some goggles to wear and you can disappear.
But to be fair, people have been doing that in Skulls Flats for years, really, haven't they? But you know what? Will you come back on the channel again and have a chat with me?
Of course, I love chatting with you, mate. It's great. It's great seeing you.
Come. We need to meet up soon. My car's all right now, so let's sort something out as soon as you're free, kind of thing. Right, definitely. I'm going to put a link to becoming Stellify and Stelify underneath here. You know, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you. And hopefully, sir, we shall speak again, and we shall meet for some non-GMO fair trade coffee. It's free of ways. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.